In 3, 2, 1, and action.
And welcome back to All Women. And today we have a very interesting guest. Well, she's interesting for me in particular because she's here to talk to us about personal finance. And it's a topic that is very important to me because my finances need a bit of help. And we are very pleased to welcome Sylvia Walker, who is a financial planner and an author. And she has written this book called Smart Woman: How to Gain Financial Independence and Create Wealth. Sylvia, welcome to the show. And could you speak to us a little bit about your book?
The first part is really teaching women to have a healthier relationship with their finances, because I think there are a lot of women that don't have a very healthy relationship. So that's the first part of the book, how to work properly with your money, how to make smart decisions with your money.
Right.
Because we often make decisions that aren't so smart and they lead to not such great outcomes.
Sure.
So the first part is about teaching women how to make better decisions with their money and how to find money to invest. And then the second part of the book teaches women about investing. So all the different places you can invest and how can you grow your wealth.
I appreciate the point that you're making about using the foundation of relationship with money. It almost feels like it's an important premise for us being able to manage our money and actually grow our money. Could you speak a little bit more about that?
Yes, you know, for me, money is one of the pillars of our lives. So we have a number of pillars. We have a financial pillar, we have a emotional pillar, so our emotions and relationships with people. We have a spiritual pillar, which is our spirituality, our sense of worth. We have a health pillar, our physical health. We have mental health. And our financial health is one of those pillars within our lives. So for me, it's very important to keep a balance between all of those pillars. People all have different outlooks on money. Some people just spend it. Some people believe it'll just come tomorrow from somewhere. Others hang on to it because they're afraid it's going to go away. But we very often don't think about it and don't treat it with that respect that it needs to be treated. And that's really what it's about. And it's not about money ruling your life, because I don't believe in that either. But it's about saying it's an important pillar within my overall life, and I need to treat it with respect. Just like I take care of my health, just like I take care of my mental ability and all the other aspects, I must take care of my finances.
That's not a relationship, though, that comes very easily to us, or it's not something that we necessarily pay attention to. And I'm wondering, to what extent is it something that we learn as we grow up, you know, about our relationship with money and how we use that to assist us to live with money in the present?
You know, we often take our cue from our parents.
Yes, yeah.
So some of us have grown up with parents that are terrible at managing money.
Yeah.
So they don't teach us anything. They don't give us any foundation. So we have to go out into the big wide world, bump our head, make our own mistakes. Other people, again, have got parents that have perhaps taught them those lessons and those values. So that's largely, a large part of it is what you see growing up. But then also one is influenced, obviously, by society, by your friends, by what people tell you, by books, by information. So it's a whole lot of things that come together and form the way you actually view money.
The thing you touch on the book is creating wealth. It's not just getting through the month or saving money a bit. I think the difference between just putting a bit of money aside for a rainy day and creating wealth is huge. And I think that's something, you know, I wish I'd learned it in school, honestly.
Yeah.
But I think I feel like it's something that should be taught.
Absolutely spot on. It should be taught. And kids are taught other kinds of skills in school, but not that skill. And we know that in South Africa there's huge unemployment. It's about 27%. So entrepreneurship is a huge sort of thrust and a huge focus. So I don't even know how much of that is taught at school, but even if it is taught, it's one thing teaching people to make money. It's another thing teaching them how to work with their money. So it's very much, it's very much a shortfall in a skill that should be taught at grassroots level.
Why did you focus on women in particular?
Interesting.
Can I tell you?
On us,
Women's finances are different.
Can I tell you a funny story? I have a client, a woman. I have a number of clients, a women and men. Some of the men are men, I must say. And she asked me the other day on the phone, and she'd read my book. She said, "Is there a book? My husband wants to read a book about finances. Can you recommend a book?" I said, "Yes, I can. I can recommend my book." She says, "You know, I told him he must just ignore the cover. The content is good." But so the question is, why women? You could put another cover on this book and it would relate to men. There's no difference. Money knows no gender. But as women, we are often the ones that are neglected. So we often think we need to leave somebody else to take care of these things for us, the men. We are often left out of those decisions. The financial industry is quite male dominated. So women are very often the sort of not highly considered. And also as women, we're often very vulnerable. And that's something that I bring through quite strongly. Make sure when you get married the right way. Because things can go wrong. Make sure you protect yourself. Another interesting thing is that a lot of women if you look at a family where there's the husband and the wife working, he often spends his money on the policies, the car, the house, the assets. She spends her money on paying for the domestic help, the groceries, all of that stuff. So she hasn't got a mindset of I need to build up my own wealth and create my own assets. I use my money to keep the household going. So that's why women, it's to shift that mindset that the money I earn, I need to actually pay myself first. I need to start creating my own future financial security.
I think the idea of also investing can be quite daunting. I think it's like I said, saving money is one thing, but actually investing in stock exchange, investing in property, people don't know where to start. So a book like this is great to give you some options.
It gives information. I'm not a believer in being prescriptive, so I don't. There are books out there that will say, buy this book and you'll be a millionaire. Okay, I don't do that because there's no one size fits all. So I provide all the different information, the various options, and we all have different levels of comfort. Some people would like to buy a property and they're happy being a landlord. Other people don't want that hassle, so they'd rather put their money elsewhere. So yes, I really try and demystify and explain in very simple terms what the various investment options are and what kind of return you can expect by investing.
So as women, I mean, where do we start? If you're looking at the different types of financial sort of aspects in our lives, where do we start? How do we create this foundation and how do we push ourselves and move ourselves forward?
You've got to start by, I think, firstly being committed to it. So saying that I'm going to do a financial plan, I'm going to put a plan in place, and I'm going to stick to that plan. And then secondly, you need to get advice. I believe in advice. A lot of people make their own investment decisions, but they're based on what my friend says or what somebody else suggests. And that's often quite dodgy because people have an opinion and that's what it is. So it's making a commitment and it's then putting a plan in place. And as part of that process, as I say, the issue of pay yourself first is a very simple one. I didn't invent it, but it's simple, it's easy. And if you do that and you commit to paying yourself first, you will then start building up a fund. Where you build it up and what that investment is, that's where the advice comes in. But be committed.
That's pay yourself first. When I was young and single a long time ago, and didn't have children, it's very easy to do. But once I think it's not even once you get married, because that's not it at all, but it's once you have children, it's almost like
changes.
They own you.
I know, but
and your bank account. It's like a money pit.
It is a money pit, but I think it's a decision that you make. It's a choice. I always compare it to on payday. So everyone's queuing up for their share of your money, your salary, whatever your earnings are. So it would be your children, your creditors, everyone's in the queue with their hand out. If you put yourself in the front of that queue, you're going to be paying yourself first, and then you will give to everybody else. So it's just a matter of shifting priorities for me. Instead of waiting until I've taken care of everybody else, and then whatever's left, it'll be for me.
Is it assuming that a person will have, or a woman will have, sufficient money even to pay themselves first? Perhaps all the money is gone. By the time everybody else has had to be paid, there's actually nothing left. Or if I paid myself first, then I will have to forgo on paying somebody else. I'm asking a question for maybe not the middle class, but for people who are living on the breadline, who don't have enough that can stretch even into the future, never mind into today. And what kind of thinking?
So the budget obviously is important. That's a critical tool to do your budgeting. Because yes, if you're paying yourself first, you're going to pay somebody else less, obviously. Money's going to go less elsewhere. When you talk about the poorest of the poor, though, I'm fascinated by the whole stokvel culture. Because amongst the very poor, they still manage to do that. So for me, it's a matter of priority. It comes back to that again, is make it a priority. And the other thing is, you may not have 200 Rand a month to put away. If it's only 10 or 20 Rand a month, start with that. Start with something is better than nothing. Like you're not going to grow wealth by 20 Rand a month, but it's all relative, so you start small.
When you say pay yourself, what's the idea behind it?
Well, the thing is, you need to then invest that money somewhere that's going to work for you. So as I say, where you invest, there are a number of different options, and that's where you would get advice. But I'm also a great believer in the old envelope system. You remember? I don't know if anyone remembers that. So people would have an envelope, one for for groceries, one for rent, one for
Yes, and then you put all your little
you
bits
put
of
your
cash
money in
away,
each
yeah,
one.
in the envelope.
So I'm a great believer in that. For me, it works. I like to see things. I'm a visual person. So a number of bank accounts today offer various pockets that you can have. Within one bank account, you can have pockets. So one can even do that. So let's say you have a fund. Let's say it's your holiday fund, for instance, where you put money in every month. Have a separate place for that, a separate pocket.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about investing, then you would invest in something, as I say, you'd get advice, but yes, the money would go. It needs to come off your income, off your salary, if it can, out of your bank account. It's not going to grow sitting in your bank account.
Sure. Sylvia, you speak about wealth and money. What really is the difference? Is there a difference?
There is a difference because money is the thing that you use. So money is the commodity that you use on a daily basis.
Right.
You earn it, you get given it in return for your time and your skills, and you spend it on your lifestyle. Wealth, on the other hand, is a long-term building up of assets. So when you talk about creating wealth, you're talking about using that money over time to increase your assets, to increase your wealth. So it's quite interesting. The way we measure wealth is by what's called net worth. So it's what you own, all the stuff that you own, all your assets, minus your liabilities, minus what you owe to people. And that little calculation is your net worth. And as you go through life, you should be investing that money, that cash that you have, to increase your net worth, to make it get bigger. So sometimes people may have a lot of money, they've got a lot of cash, but they got zero net worth because they're blowing it all. They're just living for today.
Sure.
And on the other hand, you maybe could be really like with a noose around your neck and you actually don't have money and you can't come out. But meanwhile, you may have properties and other investments and the money's all tied up. So you could have quite a healthy net worth, but actually your cash flow is not so great.
Yeah.
So the two are quite they're interlinked, but they are actually two separate things.
Sure.
I got excited when you said, you know, your net worth is if you have properties and cars. Like, yes, and do you owe money? No.
But you see, that's the thing, yeah.
That's the drawback.
Yeah, that's the draw. So being in debt is also not
Yes.
such a good thing.
No, because debt obviously reduces your net worth. But anywhere along the line, if you get retrenched or you go into terrible debt or whatever, it can actually severely impact your net worth. So,
There you go.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
we need you here.
Yeah.
We need you, Sylvia.
We would definitely love to have you back on the
Yes.
show to talk more about this because I think it's
Thank
such
you.
an important thing, and
Yeah.
especially for women, like financial independence
Yes.
is hugely, hugely important. I mean, for everyone, but you know, a lot of time with women, we are so busy paying everybody else that
Yeah.
we. So,
Forget about ourselves.
Yes,
will you
absolutely.
please come back?
I will. I'd love to. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was it from Sylvia Walker. We will definitely have her back. So if you want to see more, keep watching All Women.